Hey, folks, and welcome to this episode of 8 News Real Talk. I'm your host, Tannock Blair, and with me is my co-host, Julia Broberg.
Hello.
Gosh, I'm a little out of sorts today.
Really?
Maybe it's because of our holiday special through everything. I feel out of practice for actual
I thought you were about to do like a Frankenstein, like I'm out of order, and then you would show like you did like some makeup on your hands or something. Like, I think it's because my body parts have been put together. I thought you were gonna do like a Frankenstein bit.
We set the precedent too high last week with Wicked, and now we've got to dress up every week.
Time I see that, I regret it. Every time I see that, I have regret in my heart and my soul. What was the words you used? It jump scared you? Yes.
For those who don't know, our WRC Plus plays on all the screens in the office, all times of the day. And so really cool. Anytime Real Talk plays, particularly when Julia's painted green.
And I know, and I see it because people are like, you're up there. I'm like, I know Tannock's putting it in there day after day because I know he controls it. And I'm like, Tannock's putting that one in there in the schedule. He's like, the green one? Yeah, we'll do a double runner. We'll do a double feature.
That can run again.
Yeah, that can run just over and over.
Yeah, so this is a weird, disappointing episode without any costumes.
Oh, yeah.
But we got a great movie to talk about, so that's good. Before we get to it, though, I know you wanted to talk about another film that we both just happened to have seen this weekend.
Yeah. Just a little honorable mention of sentimental value.
Yeah.
I loved it. What did you think?
Yeah, it was really good. It was, so I don't know if I'm going to pronounce the name right. The filmmaker is Joachim Trier.
Right.
Trier?
Yes. I think it's Trier. If I were to take a stab at it, I would say, wow. Let's just talk about the film. What if we just talk about the film?
That's my first film from him, though. He's
never
made a lot of films. He's done...
Worst Person in the World?
Yeah, I think that was his big breakout, but he had done like 3 or 4 other films that sort of didn't hit quite as big as Worst Person in the World before that as well. So he's been at it for a while. This is my first time seeing one of his films. It was a very sweet film. It was a really weird experience to watch it a day after watching Jay Kelly. Because both of them are so similar.
Themes, yeah.
They're both about an aging sort of famous filmmaker who is trying to reconcile with their past decisions of focusing on their career and not being there for their 2 daughters.
Yeah.
Both also happen to be dads of 2 daughters who have very similar personalities to the ones in this film as well.
Dang. I didn't know that. I mean, I knew it had similar themes, but I didn't know it was that similar.
Yeah. The difference, I think, Jay Kelly does not end on a very optimistic ending.
Okay.
Like, in a weird way, I was surprised to find like this prestige festival film out of Norway. I was expecting it to finish on a downbeat sort of ending, but it kind of went for the very Hollywood happy ending thing, like in a way. Yeah. It wasn't like it wasn't unearned in any way,
like
but it was
Scrooged.
Right.
Sorry.
It didn't feel like overly schmaltzy or anything like that, but it was more sentimental than I thought it would be.
With the title Sentimental Value? You thought it was going to be less sentimental?
I thought maybe it was going to be an ironic title. That's a very art film sort of thing. But no, it was a very good, feel-good family drama, I think.
I cried a lot.
Yeah.
I cried a lot. Yeah. For the last hour and 20 minutes, hour 30 minutes, I cried. So, I loved it. I loved all of it. I just loved everything about it.
I think something that surprised me about it and was really cool was how it goes on these tangents of, it almost feels like an epic in the way that you have this intimate family drama at its center, but it's not afraid to go into the past of the history of the house or the history of the father's parents and what his childhood was like, and all these different things that sort of just added context and made it feel so full.
I love when they make the house breathe. Like any film that makes a house alive and a central character is something I always love.
Yeah. So we both recommend it.
Yeah.
I'd give it a 4-star. I don't know what you'd give it.
I'd give it a 5-star.
There we
When
go.
I cry that hard at a movie, I feel like I have to give it a 5-star. I'm not being honest to like the universe, but that's probably like my own thing. That's probably my own. And welcome to Therapy Corner with Julia. Just kidding.
Well, I'm curious to see if you cried during Frankenstein then, and if you rank it on that. That is the film that we're mostly going to be discussing today. It got released a couple of weeks ago, but it's still doing really well. It's like been released in, limited run, small theater, like not small theaters, but small theaters within the theater that you go to. You know how like Wicked gets its own, the biggest room in the house sort of thing, and Frankenstein has sort of been pushed.
It's like 6 seats.
It's like, go see it on streaming instead.
Yeah.
We've got this little room for the diehards who want to watch
You guys
it
are in the
theater.
broom closet in the back. Frankenstein broom closet.
But I went to see it this weekend, and it was a full house, like fully booked out theater,
that's
like
cool.
in a 2 or 3 weeks into its run.
Oh yeah. I mean, heck yeah.
So yeah, I think it's certainly finding an audience, and it's probably one of Guillermo del Toro's more successful films from a financial perspective.
Well, I was gonna say, I think he's been putting out good stuff, whether it's
agree.
receiving its deserved audience reaction. You know, that's up for debate. But he's been putting out good stuff. I loved Nightmare Alley. I love Shape of Water. I liked
do too.
Pinocchio.
There are a lot of detractors from the second half of his career, I think, for people who are diehard fans in his earlier stuff with Pan's Labyrinth and Devil's Backbone and things like that. But I really like the way that he's transformed as a filmmaker, and I think this, like, the films he's making now are quite appropriate to his sort of maturation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I would give it 4 stars. I thought it was a really fun time at the movies. There's a couple of things I would knock it down from a 5 for. Far from perfect, but as a Guillermo del Toro fan, I'm eating good this week.
Same. I couldn't have put it better myself. I would also give it a 4. Send it a 4.5, but I'll go. Like you said, there's stuff that knocks it down.
Yeah.
But yeah, should we get into spoilers?
I think we should. Okay.
Tannock, tell the folks what this movie's about.
Okay. Well, it's based on a very famous 19th century novella, or I guess novel, by Mary Shelley, one of the leading writers of the Romantic movement. Famously, she wrote the story or came up with the idea. I think she was telling ghost stories with her brother and Lord Byron or something.
Right, casually.
And just
Casually.
in this, they were trying to one-up each other, and Mary Shelley just knocked both of them out of the park with what is one of the greatest stories of horror ever written. The novel still holds up today. It's a really great read. I've read it a couple of times, actually. And so I'm a huge fan of this particular story. And it seems like a match in heaven to pair up Guillermo del Toro, who spent his entire career making monsters human and making them the heroes of their stories, to do it with the OG monster who's misunderstood. And
It's only a matter of time, I feel like, before Guillermo decided to take on this.
And in execution, there's pros and cons to that, which I'll get to in a second. But as you asked me, what is the story of Frankenstein? Dr. Frankenstein is a bit of an out there scientist who is trying to defeat death, so to speak. He's trying to figure out a way to defeat death in this classic mad scientist hubris fashion, and he ends up putting together a bunch of dead bodies and sewing them all up, and inadvertently brings a creature to life, Frankenstein's monster, and so the story follows the creation of the monster. It follows what happens after the monster escapes capture from Frankenstein and sort of lives his own life, and it becomes a story of revenge and regret and grief
Christopher
and
Waltz
shame.
has syphilis, which is also there as well.
Yeah, that was a new addition. I don't think that's in the novel from what I remember.
You didn't remember that chapter?
There are a couple of things that GDT adds. That's what me and my friend. That's what friends of Guillermo call him.
GDT?
GDT.
Right.
Yeah. Sort of when you're at a bar and you're ordering a G&T for your GDT.
That was good.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
But yeah, it's Frankenstein. I think most people know the broad strokes of the story of Frankenstein.
I was just trying to get ahead of it in case you were going to ask me what the story is
Yeah,
about.
no, you were right to do so.
I'm curious because I've never read the novel. The only awareness, obviously everybody has an awareness of the story of Frankenstein, but my only like real introduction to it was Young Frankenstein
Yes.
by Mel Brooks. So that's the only movie that I've watched about the Frankenstein story, which
Right.
I'm happy to say.
Yeah.
I'm proud of that.
Yeah, a masterpiece in its own right.
Oh, 100%. But Frankenstein. But I'm curious how that changes our,
Yeah.
was it true to the subject matter? Like
Definitely.
how? Okay.
It was in essence true to it. I think there's something to the way. I think Del Toro is always approaching these things, as I mentioned before, from the monster is our hero, the monster is misunderstood, and that is present in Mary Shelley's novel. Like you do sympathize for the monster that he doesn't ask to be created, right? Like he is given life and he is immediately found to be monstrous and hated by anyone he encounters, and he tries to
Hated by his own creator.
yeah, and so deep philosophical questions they get raised behind like what the ethics of such an entity who exists and only knows hatred from every person it encounters, basically.
Except his girly pop, Elizabeth. He doesn't have hatred for her.
Yes, well, Elizabeth does not like the monster in the novel. I remember that. But there is famously the blind old man who he befriends also in the novel. It's a really crucial part. It's like the point where he learns to become literate, he learns to read, and he genuinely befriends and makes a connection with another person before being driven away by the old man's family. But I think because of Guillermo del Toro's sentimentality for or deep sympathy or empathy for the creature, he does end up shaving off the edges a little bit of the story because the monster is so powerful and like, he's been built from all of these strong bodies. They make a reference to it here where they're building to perfection.
Yeah.
Because the monster is so strong and doesn't know its own strength, he does end up, becoming quite violent. He learns a lot of things about like the beauty of life, yes, but he's also incredibly tortured. Like it is not. I think the biggest difference between the book and the film is the ending. There is a very pessimistic, nihilistic sort of ending to the book where the monster ends up burning himself alive in the Arctic after Frankenstein dies. That's his only option, it seems, is just to kill himself. Whereas Guillermo del Toro gives him this very optimistic ending where he's self-actualized. He can go anywhere and do anything and be anything. And
but how do we know after the credits roll that he didn't set himself on fire while he was looking at the sun?
I think that, like, the way that he shoots it in this beautiful sunset and stuff, it doesn't seem like that's where this monster is headed. But so I think that's one of the major differences. And, it's not inherently a bad thing to play around with a centuries-old story and try to find a different angle to it. But as a fan of Frankenstein, and a fan of the horror aspects of Frankenstein, it's a little... that's the one thing that holds us back from being great for me.
As a Frankenstein, if I could speak as a Frankenstein for a second.
Yeah, like one of my favorite parts in the book is Dr. Frankenstein creates the monster, and he goes and the monster doesn't seem to be alive, so he goes and passes out on... I think very similarly to this film, he passes out on his bed or something, and he wakes up and the monster is there alive. And in the book, he immediately is just repulsed by the monster. Like he's disgusted by its deformities and how like a crime against nature it is. And that is also like a metaphor for his shame for doing something like
so unnatural and so against.
Yeah, exactly. So, trying to play God, basically. We don't really get that in this film because, as much as there's lip service to how monstrous the creature is in this film,
That's Jacob Elordi.
it's Jacob Elordi, and he is a specimen. Like, even with these stitches and things, like, I don't know if everyone's on the right page with calling him monstrous in this movie. Like, I think Guillermo del Toro has such rose-tinted eyes to be looking at the monster at.
Everybody's just looking at
He
Jacob
can't
Elordi
help
like-
but make him look like the Vitruvian Man, like
Yeah.
just this perfect, like, Michelangelo sculpture or something.
He is. I like that you're like, he is a specimen. Guys, his body in this, he looks so good.
Yeah. So it loses that horror. It loses like some of the deeper themes that I really like in the book because of that. But it's a trade-off. On the other hand, you get to see the
Jacob
specimen that
Elordi's-
is Jacob Elordi.
His body. You get to see every crevice and crack of his abs, of his cut arm. You're like, I'm like, Tannock, back to the movie.
to the movie at hand.
You're like, Jacob Elordi, you put the mic away. You're like, if we could just speak on him, the specimen.
Yeah.
I was surprised by his performance. Not that I didn't trust
it was-
that Jacob Elordi is good at what he does. But this is a hard task to take on.
I agree.
This is a very, very difficult, and he
I was
absolutely
skeptical.
crushed it to
Yeah.
me. I think
Yeah.
he knocked it out of the park.
He's been good in a lot of things, but this is such a different kind of ask of a performance. It's so physical. It's very similar to like Emma Stone in Poor Things or something, which
absolutely.
also draws a ton from Frankenstein and the mythos there. But
This thing of like a clean human slate,
Yeah.
like a fully grown human, but that has no knowledge of what it means to be human is always an interesting
Yeah.
thing to portray and
Yeah,
see how they're
absolutely.
gonna do that. Like how they're gonna, what's the word I'm looking for? The body movements.
yeah, the physicality.
Yeah, physicality. Thank you.
There's a
That's
lot of subtlety in the,
Yeah.
the physicality that he brings in this film. Yeah, and it's really great. I
And
agree.
performances from everybody else was great. Oscar Isaac's great at playing like tortured, crazy, egomaniac
Yeah.
kind of guy. It's kind of, I think, akin. You see little snippets of his Ex Machina, I think, performance a little bit. Yeah, he's just good at that guy.
Yeah, I really like. I saw some people complaining about his performance, but I thought it was that's exactly what I picture Frank. It's like, I think people said it was annoying, and I'm like, yeah, Dr. Frankenstein
Yeah, he's
is
super annoying, like the most
He
annoying.
wants to play God,
Yeah.
and he's constantly, yeah.
And Oscar Isaac is a specimen, guys. Just to say that.
I don't know. I love his accent in this.
Same.
Like, it wasn't distracting or anything. I thought it was like, that's exactly how Frankenstein should sound.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I thought all the performances were really good.
Yeah, I loved the score, and this is where I get to be you and try to Alexandra Desplat. He does all the stuff for what you're like. Whoa, that's really
I can't
offensive,
help you.
Julia. That you don't know how to pronounce his name. He does a lot of the scores for Wes Anderson.
Okay.
I loved this score, and I love that last note. It's like this beautiful ending string note as he's looking off towards it, and
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't cry at all during this movie though. Did you cry?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that you're like, oh, baby didn't cry. That's how you said it all. But yeah, I did not cry. But I think I got close. It is very like life affirming, very philosophical,
Yeah.
very existential, very.
Yeah, it is. One other sort of thing that I'll notch against this film is I think it's too long. Part of me wanted to be
I feel
like,
that. I
hey,
feel that.
it's Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
He's building an epic. This should feel like an epic story because it kind of, even the novel is fairly short, but it feels like an epic when you're reading it because you start with, it starts from the perspective of a journal of the captain on the ship, and
Yep.
he's describing his.
I love the intro.
Oh, it's such
intro
a
is
good
great.
like framing device because they're off in the freezing cold, away from everything, and it's brilliant. It's a perfect place for random horror to find.
Oh,
them.
100%. To just hear like some creature off in the
yes.
distance like roaring, and you're like, oh my
and that's
God.
all in the book. It's really great stuff. Yeah, it is a sprawling epic of kinds that takes place over decades and things. I think Guillermo del Toro spent a little too long in Frankenstein's childhood. Like, I was
Fair, I see
waiting for
that.
it to get started a little bit. I get it. He wants to do the Oedipus.
You're like, Charles Dance, wrap it up.
He's
Charles
clearly,
Dance is a specimen. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's the last one I do.
right.
I swear. There's nobody else to do it to. So that has to be the last one.
I mean, casting Mia Goth as both Elizabeth and Frankenstein's mother. It's a little on the nose. We get what he's doing, but it became a little repetitive, a little
She
bit
played
much.
his mom too?
You didn't notice that?
No.
Okay.
This is, oh man. I'm gonna lie and say I did. Yes. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Dang, how did I not notice that? I used to think I'm pretty good with
They
that.
did. There was prosthetics and stuff. Like
Okay.
they really camouflaged it, I think. But
Dang, Julia.
yeah.
I was too busy. I was too busy looking at Jacob Elordi. All right.
Yeah, I think there were just a couple of places where I think it was lulling a little bit. I also, this is again, what I was talking about, the edges getting sand off. There's a very, I think one of the most horrific scenes in the book is, in the book, Frankenstein's brother is not like an adult. He's a child. He's like 6. Like William Frankenstein is like a 6-year-old or something, or 5 or 6. And he runs into the monster like later on in the book, and Frankenstein, the monster hears the name Frankenstein and just kills this kid.
Right.
Just out of rage. He goes into like a blind rage and just sort of like not
Murders the
understanding.
child.
Yeah. Just to understand what death is and like what murder is. Like it's again a very philosophical book and a very horrific book.
You're like, I really wish they would have killed like a 6-year-old. What this movie was missing was the death of a child.
Genuinely though,
Right.
because one of my favorite things in the 1931 film is another thing that happens in the book is it's in direct parallel. It's like the very chapter after Frankenstein kills. The monster kills Frankenstein's brother. The monster actually rescues a little girl who's drowning in a river, and then he gets chased away by the villagers or whatever. The movie in 1931 like combines those scenes and has the little girl drowning, and Frankenstein tries to save the little girl, but because he doesn't know his own strength and stuff, he accidentally breaks her neck.
Oh, dang.
It's heartbreaking. It's like it's incredibly nuanced and like
so you think it's
powerful for
missing that depth. That I'm being sincere. That was me being sincere.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah. You think it's missing that?
It's missing like a little bit more of grappling with death and things, because when Guillermo del Toro has the monster killing people, it's an action scene. It's him like throwing sailors across the room, or like the scene where he kills the wolves and things.
They could have done it because they do that scene where he's feeding the deer and then the deer gets shot. I feel like that scene could have been replaced with what you're talking about, where he accidentally kills the animal or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what they're trying to, like, oh, this is him experiencing death and like a creature that is innocent dying.
Yeah. And I think Guillermo del Toro takes that out because he just wants to put the creature above reproach.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't want us to question, he doesn't want any murkiness on the morality of the creature. He's like, no, this guy's the good guy.
Yeah.
This guy's, everything he does is great.
It's
We
Jacob
love this
Elordi,
guy.
guys.
Yeah.
Gotta be on his side.
He doesn't want any of the muddy nuance of like, we feel bad for the creature, but,
Because Guillermo notoriously is always in the creature's corner.
Right. And it makes it. The creature's like I hate this term, but he's like a paragon of virtue. I was going to say he's like a Mary Sue, where like he is brought into this world and knows only like being shackled by chains and sort of being kicked and shunned by his creator. You would think that there would be more rage or hatred in him, but he escapes and immediately is just like the sweetest, happiest, gentlest creature. Yeah. It's like, it's very nice. It's a very nice, optimistic feeling movie that like the righteousness of a certain person can overcome. I love that.
You're like, but that's not how the world works. You're like, I love that. That's sweet.
But in my
That's
Frankenstein movies, I want a little bit of...
You want that edge.
I want some nastiness in
You
there.
want some. I like the nastiness. I like that they didn't shy away from the Victorian, his streets would be filled with blood and like dirt, and everything would be disgusting. Like all these bodies that he's like rifling through to find the perfect that are just sitting in his lab.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You can smell it.
Yes,
you can smell it while you're watching it.
And I wasn't even in 40X, 5DX Sense Theater or whatever, and I could smell it.
We've skimmed over this because it's almost taken for granted, but Guillermo del Toro movies look incredible. The production design, the creativity behind the creature designs, the sets, everything is just you don't get that from anything else.
Yeah.
Like it's truly terrific stuff. So great movie, recommend it.
Recommend. I wish it was in theaters longer, and maybe they'll bring it back if it gets nominated for Oscars. But
True. Yeah.
if you can't see it in theaters, I would say see it.
Yeah, I hope it gets nominated for all the effects work and
Yeah.
and art design and stuff like that. So
And the specimen award goes to it's you coming out to like give it to him. You're like, hey, you did great in the movie. I don't know why that's so funny to me.
yeah, that's pretty much how it felt. That's the big takeaway.
That's the big takeaway. The moral of the story.
All right, folks. Well, thank you for tuning in to this episode of 8 News Real Talk. I guess we'll see you all next week. All right.